So modeling the principal repayment on the new leases going forward is going to be based on an if statement. So we'll say if the time period that we are in I5 references cell with F4 two times, if the time period is greater than the time period here on B266, references cell with F4 three times so that we can always copy the formula right. If that time period is greater than the time period in B266 plus, if we add the lease term for the new leases of 15 years, references cell with F4 and then we have to subtract 1 since we are already accounting for the first period. So if that time period is greater than the time period on B266 plus the new lease term of 15 years minus 1, then we want that cell to read 0 because there is no repayments that needs to be made. It means that everything has already been paid off. Otherwise, let it read the prior cell to it. That is, let it read the prior cell of the repayments that were made. So we have that in place. We can close the bracket and press enter because we are expecting these payments to be made for 15 years. So that is why we are setting this formula that if the present time period we are in, if that period is greater than the period on B266 until B276, then we want that cell to read 0. Otherwise, we want it to give us whatever the principal repayments were. So that's how we do that formula. We can fill, since we reference everything, we can fill it right with Control R. So if we go back to the Control Panel tab and we switch this to, say, 8 years, and we go to the financial statement, as you can see, we have that repayment made for 8 years. And we can see how the if statement kicks in to produce the repayment only for the time period. But since we have it set up for us for 15 years, when we switch back, we see that it is giving us the time that these payments will be made for 10 years and above, that is 15 years. So we can copy this formula and paste it for the other time periods that the repayment needs to be made. So this is a waterfall schedule. As you can see, we have that set up in place. So the repayments will be made as we have set it up. So now we can calculate, we can determine the principal payment on new additions. We can fill this formula to the end of the projected period. So we have that set up now. So now to determine the lease payment on new lease liabilities, so this is the total debt service for the new leases under the operating leases. So this is going to take into account the principal repayment plus the interest. So it's going to be equal to, we take the negative of the principal payment on new additions, and then we add to that the interest. We have that in place. So the ending balance on new lease liability is going to be equal to the opening balance plus the additions plus the interest, and then we deduct the lease payment on new leases. So we have that in place. So we can take this too and we fill it to the end of the projected period with Control R. So having that set up, now the ending balance for the total opening lease liability is going to be equal to the ending balance for the existing leases plus the total ending balance of the new lease liabilities. So we have that in place. We can fill that right with Control R. So now, since under the new leases, the opening balance was going to be the closing balance of the prior period. So it's a corkscrew calculation. So the opening of this period is going to be the closing of the prior period for the new lease liabilities. So when we fill this formula right, we will see that the interest will be calculated for us. So we have that set up in place. The only thing we have to do here for this interest is to make sure that we are referencing to the interest rate with F4 in the control panel tab. So we can highlight all of this with Control Shift R and we fill it right with Control R.